Okay, here we are. It's March 25. And as we can see, I'm going to flip this. Producer, please flip the cameras. There we go. There you can see a little piece inside of Jimmy. You look up in the very top corner there. My glucose level is 77 trombones. Look at the graph. If you can see that graph, it's unbelievable. I can get it on the screen here. There it is. 77. That's kind of amazing when you think about it. Ozempic has totally smoothed out my blood sugar so that it's in the green zone. And I had a couple of nice bowls. You can see when I had a couple of nice bowls of pasta. I made my world famous pasta sauce yesterday. And it's waiting for me today. It is really good. And it's really easy to make, actually. I mean, families all over, Europe, and my parents are European. So, it's very simple. You put some olive oil in your saucepan. Nice amount, like 3 or 4 tablespoons. If you have, I have a 19-inch, what I call an everyday pan. It's a very high quality, nice thick aluminum, and it has it's a Califon pan. So I throw in, a good cup. This has got my pills in it. I would say a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, and heat that up, to 300 degrees or so, medium heat, let's say. Not high heat, not 450 degrees. We're not frying potatoes. And then you put in a couple tablespoons of finely chopped garlic. Maybe I had 2.5 tablespoons of finely chopped garlic. And you stir that around until it, you can see it all simmering and so forth in the pan, bubbling up a little bit. And when it gets golden brown, then I add a nice 2 big yellow onions, peeled and chopped to, that size. I have a couple of, the last half of the onion was chopped with pieces about this big. And you can see my finger. And you saute all that, still around 300 degrees heat, 300, and, about that medium heat. You stir all that up with, I have a 19-inch pan, so I got two of those silicone spatulas. And you keep stirring and stirring and stirring. And you watch those onions, and when they go from white to just turning transparent throughout the entire pieces of onion, you have them all, pounded a little bit so they all break up. And as soon as they finish, as soon as they are completely transparent, Then you pour in 3 cans, 1 can at a time, 3 cans, 14-ounce cans of the finest DOP, Department of Agriculture in Italy. DOP tomatoes. The cans are like $4 a can instead of $2 a can. It costs twice the amount of money as the cheapest tomatoes. And believe me, you don't want the cheapest. It's tomato sauce. Hello? The last thing you want to do is get cheap tomatoes. You want to get good tomatoes. So, it's a spaghetti sauce, but it's a tomato sauce, and you want to have good tomatoes. So we put in outstanding tomatoes under the Alessi brand. Alessi was raised in Tampa. It was Marilyn's when we were in Tampa. She was in the retail banking business. Phil Alessi is his name. Alessi. I don't have an empty can here. I should have fetched one out of the trash. They are really good. And you know, now you reduce that heat to 275 degrees, medium-low heat, and you use the edge of your silicone spatula to break up those tomatoes a little bit because you don't want they're whole peeled plum tomatoes. Each tomato is about this size. A little tiny bit of time. They're about that big. But they're peeled. And it has a nice little sauce in there. Anyway, so you mix it around for, on medium-low heat. I put a couple of, I would say, let's say a table granulated sugar. You got to put a little sugar in there just to kill that acidy taste. And let's say a quarter of a teaspoon or a half a teaspoon of salt. Need a little salt in there. Need a little sugar in there just to kill the tomato taste. Let's say a tablespoon of sugar. That's all. If you're concerned about that, use a teaspoon of sugar and stir it around. And after a couple hours, taste it. Should be up to 160 degrees. And taste the sauce. And if it's a little acidy, you can add another teaspoon. 3 teaspoons per tablespoon. So if you add 2 teaspoons, that's like 2/3 of a tablespoon. Yeah, that's not that complicated. But that's okay. Not a heaping tablespoon. Just maybe 2 teaspoons is the best amount of sugar to put in. Using 3 big 28-ounce cans, it's 14 fluid ounces. It's 28 ounces in weight, I believe. That's the way that works. And then it turns out, and then you have to add 3 or 4 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. Zesty Italian seasoning. And that basically makes an unbelievable tomato sauce. blood sugar's hanging in there at 73. But see how it's, you can see it, right? Yeah, you're looking at the lower, moving the, let's do this. Producer, why don't you give us, yes, that's the view I want. So you can see the view on the left side of your screen is my blood sugar. I mean, you guys aren't that interested in that, but look how it just keeps on bouncing off the bottom part of the green. The green zone is where you want your blood sugar at all times. 100 is a nice number. You see I keep crossing 100. That's nice. Whoop. I dip down to 65 at 7, you see it's 6, 7, 8, 9. Each line on the bottom is an hour. So, whoop, I got a little, when it gets down, I'm hardly ever in the red zone. One time yesterday, and 3 times today. Yeah, bang, bang, bang. They keep banging off this Ozempic is unbelievable. It's completely eliminated my use of, insulin. I weaned myself off metformin, 500 milligrams twice a day, morning and evening. And I said, I read some things about metformin I didn't like. Excuse me, man. So, I went to my primary care physician, Dr. Lubin, and said, Doctor, please change me from metformin to insulin. I'm a big boy. I can use one of those Novo Nordisk pens that take 3 milliliter little cylinders that you put in the pen, and you give yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So I had him prescribe me 7 units a day, 3 times a day, right before each meal. And you give yourself a little shot. You need 2 units to prime the needle, and then it's actually a 5-unit dose. But you have to tell the prescriber to tell the pharmacist 7 units 3 times a day, because you have to build in priming the needle, which is what Novo Nordisk is telling you to do. So it takes you 1 extra visit with your doctor so that everybody understands that even though you're saying 7 units 3 times a day, it's really only 5, because 2 of those units are wasted because you have to squirt the needle a little bit, because you don't want to, it's subcutaneous, under the skin. It's a medical term for under the skin, subcutaneous. You're not injecting it in arteries and so forth, so even if there was a little air in the needle, it wouldn't hurt you. But you don't want to do that. So you prime the needle. Now the needle is tiny. It is what is known as a 32 gauge needle, which is the finest needle you can get. It's only 2 human hairs in diameter. The width of 2 human hairs, which is, really, really, really small. Like a quarter of it's 2 human hairs. And it's hard to believe that there's a needle made, stainless steel needle made, that's 2 millimeters in diameter, where there's actually, like a 1.5 human hair opening for the insulin to flow within the needle. Yeah, I mean, something's got to squirt through it. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a very fine needle. So when you give yourself a little poke to give yourself the insulin, you don't feel it. And you just push it in all the way. And the needle is only a 1/4 inch long. So, and you just push the needle all the way in, rapidly. You just go, boop, you pop it in, and then you push the top of the button, and it pumps in, a little bit of insulin. And that subcutaneous. So when you're done with it, you just put your finger at the injection site and just massage it a little bit. Particularly if you're a little older, your skin is a little thinner, and you don't want that to squirt back out. I found myself last week, not this, where when I gave myself the injection of Ozempic, I removed the Novo Nordisk little pen. Well, it started leaking out of the little hole. Now, the 1 milligram of semaglutide is, contained in, let's say, 3/4 of a milliliter of fluid. So there's a fairly good amount of fluid, a couple of drops. But so you just rub the injection site. It's on your, I do the when I do insulin, it's on the right side of my stomach, and the semaglutide injections are on the left side. They don't want it to be mixed, and it goes under the skin, so it creates a little bit of a bubble of that fluid under the skin, and then it starts to permeate through your system and gets in your bloodstream. In about 15 or 20 minutes, I would say. Anyway, so you just, where the injection site is, you just massage that a little bit, just to make sure that little opening seals up with, what is called a fibrinogen, which is the little structures that seal up a wound. Like you get a little cut and you put a Band-Aid on it. Well, fibrinogen is what closes up your skin so that it heals. Anyway, little biology lesson for all those that are interested in bugology. Anyway, so that's my blood sugar. It's the device in the back of my arm, which actually I have to use my phone for this. So here's, you see the same graphic. It's on my phone. But to see some of the charts, I can't see the charts on this display. I can just see but the little thing in the arm transmits a signal to the iPhone every 5 minutes. So there's my daily pattern, time in range. So 93% of the time, you can see if I get it. There we go. Look at that. Focusing right on there. 93% of the time, I'm in the green. 1% of the time, I was in the red. If you can see underneath the green is the red. 1% of the time, I'm in the red. No time was I below 54, which, ooh, I don't know what it's like to be in that territory, but see now here, if we look at a 14-day period of time, you see that. I was 94%. Let's see if I can hold that up a little steadier. There we go. I'm trying to figure it out. It's autofocus lenses. There we go, 94% of the time. And I can. Let's see what my A1C is now. 6.3. It was 7 point something, 7.4. Now it's 6.3. So that's what this whole Ozempic thing is to control your A1C. So for a 30-day period, 21 days out of 30, my A1C is 6.3. So this system was developed by Abbott Laboratories. So this sensor, which is on the back of my arm back here, the back of your arm, the fatty part of your arm, lower in the back, was total views of 84 views in the last 7 days. What else? Interesting. Here's my average glucose ratings. Let me see. Different times of day ranges from 116 to 131, which is about consistent with what we see on this graph. See the high 124. Actually, yesterday, just for the day, the high is 123, and here is 123. Hit the red zone 4 times in 24 hours, but just briefly. And Ozempic just brought it right back up. It keeps you in the green, which is kind of amazing when you come to think about it. Go home and just shrink that down. You can't close it. It squeals at you if you close it. You don't want to close the app on the iPhone. The thing in the back of the arm transmits your blood glucose level every 5 minutes to the iPhone. And or maybe the iPhone goes and gets the blood reading. I think that's the way that works. The iPhone app pings this thing with a very low energy Bluetooth arrangement. There's a new Bluetooth frequency spectrum that was approved by the FAA. Yeah, I think they control all the frequencies. I can't think. Trying to think of the acronym associated with that government. I think it's the. I think the FAA deals with frequencies because they have a lot to do with, the airline industry, obviously. FAA, Federal Aviation Agency. And because of that, they control all kinds of other allowable frequency spectrums, like G5 for the telephone. You got G3, G4, G5, or 3G, 4G, 5G. I think the 5 is first, 5G, which is a frequency spectrum that delivers incredible bandwidth for the cell phone industry. And AT&T and Verizon have spent billions and billions of dollars re-equipping all their towers with 5G transceivers. Each tower controls, like 1,200 cell phones simultaneously. The towers are only 3 miles apart, creating this hexagonal pattern of towers. They're more dense. They're stretched about every 3 miles in highly populated areas. And they spread them out further in lesser populated areas. Anyway, so there's another spectrum that was reserved, and the medical special products industries, like the Apple, the AirTag, this little white dot that's on my wallet, contained in that little white dot is an AirTag. So if I lose my wallet, if I forget, you can see it right there. It's right inside, and I can squeeze it out like a lima bean. There's an AirTag. Now that AirTag is using that part of that, a piece of that very, very low amplitude. There's a lithium cell in there that'll last 3 years. And if I were to forget my wallet, if someone steals your wallet, they're going to wonder what, most people aren't going to know what that little white button is. It just looks like a decoration. But it's actually an AirTag that sends out a very low energy Bluetooth signal. And Apple has developed this whole possible, network system that Bluetooth frequency has a hexadecimal serial number in it, so that, for example, if I start the app known as Find My, this is the Find My app, and I can expand this, and I can see, there's Denon, there's Daniel, there's Brennan. Brennan's in Coconut Creek at work. Daniel is home. I see a little face here. He goes to work, probably in an hour or so. This is Monday. Maybe he's off today. I can see Bob Beatty, brother-in-law, over in Fort Myers, 107 miles away. We can shrink this down so we can see. See, there's Bob Beatty over there. And where are they? They're in some kind of building. Maybe that's a Costco or something like that. Anyway, so that's funny. It pings off his cell phone. He's given me permission to see him. Marilyn is 3 miles away. You can see her in her hat right there. See, and number one son is 791 miles away in Enrico, Virginia. Robin, we don't know where Robin is. She is she's going through a divorce, and she turned off her Find My settings, so I can't see her anymore because she got paranoid. She was afraid her to-be ex-husband right now is legally still husband, but they're litigating each other over property and stuff, And Judy Dordell, Marilyn's sister, is up in Franklin, Wisconsin, in their townhouse villa right there. Isn't that amazing? I think it's amazing. But see, that uses low energy signal. Actually, it goes through the cell system. But in this lower panel here, you see people, devices, items, and me. So here's me. That's the blue dot. Items. See, now devices would be iPhones and iPads. I can track all those. or at least mine, things in my possession, or things I might have bought for, my children. And the items would be like air tags. And we can see I have one of those little air tags hidden in my car. So if someone absconds with the car, there it is. I can see it. Tesla Model Y number 2, as opposed to number 1, which I returned to the dealership. I removed the air tag because we don't want to track the old one, because they're going to vacuum it out and this and that, and they don't end up finding it. Here's my secondary keys. They're where I am now. And there's a low battery warning on that one. Jim's wallet. There's I have a credit card visible there. There you go. My wallet is somewhere in that building. But as you get close, you can track it. And, it has like an arrow on the iPhone, and you can, when you get real close to it, it'll start pinging directly so it borrows this low frequency, and it borrows other iPhones, and it jumps, the signal jumps around through other people's devices, so that you can, so that the battery doesn't have to be something as big as the wallet. It's a little tiny thing that's inside the AirTag. So it has a ultra low frequency, and that secure 26-bit encryption hexadecimal serial number. No one can really see it except for me, because I registered that serial number, unique hexadecimal serial number, which is like 14 characters, and it's 1 through 10 and alpha and all kinds of special characters. They just call it hexadecimal. And that AirTag is, that's what happens when you start up an AirTag and pull the protective layer off the lithium battery to energize the battery. So there's no consumption of the battery when it's sitting in its package at the Apple Store. Those AirTags are handy because you can throw it in a piece of luggage. I happen to have it thrown in Marilyn's car. So you see the little car, the little red car right there in the middle of the Glades Road and Butts Road. Yeah, I'm expanding. There you go. So now you can. So that's so on the bottom, people, devices. So you can see 2 iPads and 7 other devices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devices are right here in my little studio, in this little array, and 2 other devices. One of them is sitting on the cocktail table in the living room. That's 6, and the 7th. I'll have to think about where the 7th is. Well, I can look through. There's a whole list of them. We have an iPad Pro, Oh, it's Marilyn's iPad Pro right behind there, which is looks like it's turned off. Yeah, it's a black screen. Right there. That's the 7th item. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? So if one of those items disappears, you can find it. Like if you forget your small iPad in a restaurant, you can imagine, I would cry. Anyway, so that's what Find My is. A very convenient thing, particularly with items, because someone, my son left his phone on this is what he suspects. He left the phone on the corner of his table, and someone walked by, just slipped the phone in his pocket, and number one son didn't realize it happened. So, holy crap, someone took my phone. He's in Virginia somewhere, right? So he's at a coffee shop. He went off the highway and went to a coffee shop, have a cup of coffee. He's sitting there, puts the phone on the side of the table that he's at, and someone scoots by and grabs the phone, and the phone's gone. So then and Lee's like, where the hell's my phone? So he didn't know where it was. So you know what he did? He called me. And he says, can you use the Find My app and tell me where my phone is? So I did. I did the Find My app, and I opened up People. See on the bottom of the screen, you see People, Devices, Items, and Me. So I went, Devices. Let me open this up. Oh, it's the phone. Not device. It was the phone. So since he's the Find My guy, I just hit this right here. Boom. I said it's right there at that road and that road. And I did a print screen, and I sent it to his email address. And then he called the police department. And said, hey, someone walked off with my phone. Actually, when I saw his phone, it was moving up, Highway 40 or whatever the highway was. I mean, it was unbelievable. And guess what? The police pulled him over and grabbed Lee's phone, which was sitting on the passenger seat while he drove off to then figure out how to, unlock his phone. Whatever. He thought he really had a payday. These phones cost, $1,200 or something. They don't give them away. And so I did a print screen, and the police pulled over this guy. I don't know what, what kind of car he had or anything like that, but they figured out how to pull him over. And Lee was able, then he went to the sheriff's office somewhere in Virginia and identified himself and picked up his phone. There's a story for Find My. Let's see. Yeah, you see it up in the top corner here where the map is. FIND space my. Find My. Find my phone. Find my AirTag. Find my car. It's unbelievable. The police found Lee's phone. Unbelievable. I'm hearing a little pulsation in the background. No, it's not that. It's not the timer. It's not that timer. Oh, it just went off. It's somebody. It's something. Some device. Nearby could be medical equipment. Who knows what. So here's my new car. 240 miles. So this is Marilyn's car. It's in the parking lot. Yep, see location. I can press location here and see where, see the red arrow? That's where the car is parked. Yeah, we can, let's see, producer? could you change the display? I'm the producer. I'm everything all in one little package. So there you go. You can see the car. It's actually got an address. 2300 Glades Road. Yep, that's where Marilyn is. And we can back up that map and see where it is on the planet. And she's parked in the shade, 2300. So it's looking to phone key setup, which is if I wanted to have my iPad act as a key. Your phone is your key. They don't give you a key. They give you a card. Something that looks like a credit card. And I have it in this red package. And inside the red package is my Tesla phone key. So you get two of these when you get the car. See, Tesla. And they tell you where to tap the card on the column between the two windows. I have a business card in this thing. I also have the passwords. I was a poll, the supervisor of a location. I was a poll worker. So anyway, I have my name and address card facing through the clear plastic window. And so I'm stretching this to get it back in there. There we go. So I'm turning it up. So that's this I bought online somewhere. It wasn't there's the Tesla logo on it, so, and it's nice bright reds. So the reason why I have this in here is that your phone is your key. Now, so what do you do? What do you do if you're valet parking the car? Which I do rarely, but there does come the occasion. Oops. So you're not going to leave your phone with the valet guy, since your phone is your key. So you give him this thing. And I have this embedded in a nice red doodad. Silicone rubber. The important thing is it's got my name and phone number on it. Since I have my phone, if for some reason or other someone needs to get a hold of me from the valet station or whatever, they can call me. It's got my name on it. And the phone, the Tesla card is, facing this way. So I just tap that on the column between the front and rear windows, and the car opens. That's what the valet guy would do. And when he gets out of the car, then he takes this card with him and taps it on that column, and the car, the mirrors fold in, and the car locks itself and buzzes, or it chimes if all the windows aren't up or if there's a door open. So with the app, you can call for roadside assistance. Flat tire. You do this, and because you really don't have a spare tire in the car. So, oops, I wanted to show you one more thing. So they'll come get you, and they'll change the tire. But you see, Model Y dual motor. It gives the VIN number on there, and 157 miles on the car. Brand new car. Got it Monday, I believe. So how cool is that? I thought that was pretty cool. So right now I'm looking over here at news, and apparently Trump is showing up in New York City for one of his trials. It's a hush money So, I mean, how stupid is this? The trial is, well, you were trying to hide the account from which you paid the hush money for some alleged girlfriend thing. And he lost the lawsuit in a liberal city with a liberal judge, liberal attorneys. And this lady that accused him of this doesn't remember where exactly and doesn't remember when exactly. You know, she couldn't even bring it down to what year it was or which several years it was. And even with all that, well, you know, it happened. I was pretty sure, you know. So he paid her to shut up. Signed a non-disclosure, an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So, 25 years later, when he's running for office, she didn't do it 2 years ago. She didn't do it 3 years ago. She did it right before the election. How convenient. It's so suspicious. Who knows? I hope the lady didn't get groped or whatever the hell he's supposed to have done. But she can't remember where or when. But it was somewhere back in the 70s. Really? Oh, yeah, and it was him. Oh, yeah. Sure it was. Anyway. So he paid her, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to shut up. Because it's during an election cycle, and I don't want to hear about you. So she sued him, even though she signed a non-disclosure agreement and pocketed whatever money was paid. And I think it was under I don't know what it was. Under $100,000. Let's just say that. So a liberal jury said, he's guilty. It's Trump. He's got to be guilty. No. Any other jurisdiction in the country, there's no evidence. What the hell? You don't remember where or when? You made it up. So that's how that was, Oh boy. So that's why he's in New York City, because he's appealing the verdict, I think. He put up like a $80,000 bond to appeal this thing. So he's in court right now, I think, trying to appeal it. Or soon, Trump in court. So his caravan has arrived, somewhere behind the courthouse, or I don't know, somewhere. Security, he is a former president. So he has a Secret Service detail, which guards his whereabouts. Because, everybody's threatened. Look at all these wackos that are led in the country. It, becomes very dangerous for political figures. When you have an open border and you got all these wackos that are lining up to get in not lining up, they're just stampeding and just breaking in the country. Which you might have seen on the news media this last weekend. So that's what's going on there. Plus, Trump has to come up with a $457 million bond so he can appeal this silly case that went on in New York City. So here they charged him for fraud when no one has been defrauded. Here's a case that he lost with a goofy judge in a goofy liberal district in Manhattan with a crazy attorney general. And the judge says, your penalty would be $457 million. What? The banks, they lined up, so Trump lined up, he had all his banks as witnesses. And every bank says, oh my God, this customer is one of the best customers we've ever had. He borrows some money, he pays it like clockwork. Whenever there's an interest payment due, he pays it. It's automatic pay. Pay. Years after years. I've done 4 loans with him. He is one of our platinum customers. We can't wait for the next deal to come down. And every bank said the same thing. And we're talking big banks, like Deutsche Bank and Bank of America and Bank of New York. And, these are big, these are $100 trillion banks, $100 billion, lots of billions. I worked for 35, I was Royal Trust Bank, Royal Trustco, Royal Bank of Canada. We had 34 branches just in Florida. And I was a senior real estate guy in Royal Trustco. And that was 35 billion 35 years ago. So 40 billion assets under administration. And, we were fooling around with like a $3 billion portfolio. Anyway, so, Deutsche Bank, these banks are huge global banks. Now, you think when they loan former President Trump $600 million to build one of these skyscrapers in Manhattan, or whatever $100 million it is, they say, "Oh, Mr. Trump, would you be so kind as to give Deutsche Bank an opportunity to bid on this job for you?" And there'd be, 6 or 7 of these big global banks offering proposals to the Trump organization. And they've got a team of people, which is managed by his 2 sons. Daughter didn't, she had an administrative role, but she had her own dress line and perfume line. She had her own, businesses. They're all billionaires. Each of the 3, well, probably, you got 3 sons and a daughter, 2 daughters. And they're all billionaires on their own matter because of what they do. Anyway, so the 2 sons would get the proposals, or one son, I'm not too sure which son, may have been Donald Jr. And they have staffs, and they review the proposals, and they pick the proposal that best suits their needs to build a particular building. And there's certain partnerships involved. There's a partnership involved in each of the buildings, or a similar structure. I think in New York they have a different. They call them cooperatives instead of partnerships. But I think a limited liability company is a universal kind of a term. So it has the tax implications of a partnership, but a similar structure as like a corporation. So they call them limited liability companies, LLC. That's what LLC stands for, limited liability company. Anyway, so all the banks lined up saying, "We love Trump." This is way before he had anything to do with politics. He built a number of buildings in Manhattan, 40 Wall Street. I mean, he's a master of real estate, as was his father. They helped build the skyline of Manhattan. And now this Letitia, whatever her name is prosecuting him. Just terrible. She ran on She literally got in front of hundreds of well-wishers when she was running for office, because you run for office when you're Attorney General. Whoops, you don't, yeah. So you make promises. I'm going to get Trump. He's got to be bad somewhere. I'm going to find some way to sue him and put him in jail and take all that money he made. And all the people in New York, he took advantage of them. So they sued him on some goofy grounds. And everybody loves him. Some kind of liability thing? Are you kidding? Defraud? Fraud. He defrauded. Well, find someone that he defrauded. They couldn't find anybody. Well, all the banks lined up and said, hey, this customer is what they call a whale. This guy is, and it has nothing to do with body weight. This is a big, huge client, and we want him. If we can hook this whale, our shareholders of our bank are going to be very happy. And they did. I mean, he's done, I don't know what the count is, 20 or 30 major buildings in Manhattan. That's a lot of buildings. That's a lot of billions of dollars of buildings. And all the banks love him. But oh no, the judge says, even before anyone walked into court, the judge says, nah, he's guilty. You talk about grounds for appeal. The judge said he's guilty before he heard 1 minute of testimony. only, and it was no jury. It was a judge trial, and the judge said he was guilty before the trial in front of this judge began. Only in Manhattan. You know, I mean, there's something. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything. Now, there's constitutional grounds to appeal this crazy exgorgement. We are exgorging from your financial statement. We're cutting out of your financial statement $500 million worth of liquidity because you defrauded the state of New York by having values on your financial statement that we don't agree with. I mean, the judge said Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million. I mean, the taxes on Mar-a-Lago are more than $18 million. You can't buy a house on Palm Beach for $18 million, any house, much less this huge C.W. Post estate that's on 54 acres. 54 acres. You kidding me? A house on a 1/3 of an acre. These, all lined up like these little icons on my on my iPad. See all these little icons? They're like houses on the island of Palm Beach. They're all lined up like that. 25 million apiece. Okay? He's got 54 acres on the tip of the island of Palm Beach. The C.W. Post estate actually bequeathed that estate to the state of Florida. So the state of Florida had title to it for 2 or 3 years and said, you know what? We can't pay. We don't want to pay. Oh, it's a beautiful place, and we thank you so much. We can't afford the $1 million it costs just to do the landscaping on this place. So they paid. They had all these guys clipping the hedges and all this stuff and cutting the grass and taking care of the swimming pools, probably several, and all the stuff in the interior and dusting and wiping down and polishing the floors inside, of a 20,000 square foot C.W. Post mansion that was associated with this estate property. $1 million it costs them to maintain it. Water, utilities, everything. $1 million a year. So they put it up for auction. All cash. So the bidding went to something under, $9 million or $8 million, something like that. Guess who bought it? Trump. You go to check. $10 million, I'll take it. He put $10 million aside when he was bidding, and he bid it. He was the highest bidder, and he won it. So he actually got Mar-a-Lago for under $10 million. I forget the number exactly, but it was under 10. It's worth $400 million today. It's got to be. It's on 54 acres. It's a huge. There's nothing like it, in the world. The other houses in the island of Palm Beach are lined up like the icons here. They're $25 million apiece. All of them. You go down the street. Oh, they're all lined up. Beaches. So, what is this? Get out of here. I opened up the. Anyway, so that's the way. So the judge said, "No, that's only worth $18 million." What? That may be the tax assessment for the land only or something. Yeah, who knows where he come up with $18 million. God knows what the real estate taxes are on that. Maybe that's the $18 million figure. He doesn't have to read a Palm Beach County tax assessment. Those assessments are based on the last purchase price, for the property itself. It's not like an appraisal. The tax assessed value has nothing to do with appraised value, what someone would be willing to buy or sell the property for. It has to do what's the value of the property for tax purposes. So they used the last sale, and the last sale was the auction. It hasn't traded hands since. Anyway, so. All right, well, I've been yapping away here for 1 hour and 3 minutes. I see it on my little timer there with that tenth of a second to do that. Going across there. Trump is now attending a hearing on the hush money case. And says, how can you have hush money? Well, that's what you do when you when you want to keep it quiet on the fact you paid a prostitute or something. Anyway, so this is a lady that bumped into him in some store somewhere and said, she was molested. He probably walked by her, and she don't even remember where or when. And they're just trying to litigate this guy to keep him from politicking. But every time this happens, the American public says, you know what? You are not going to keep me from voting for this guy, because he was president before the current occupant of the White House, and he did a whole lot better than this guy, than our present guy. When interest rates were half of what they were, gas prices. I mean, my daughter called me on the phone. She's on the phone with me, and I'm hearing all this rattling. I said, "What are you doing?" She said, I'm getting gas, $5 a gallon, up in Maryland, $5 a gallon. She's pumping into her car, $5 a gallon. I plug into my, I plug my car into, the outlet that we have in our building. A fill-up is $3.15. These people are paying, 20-gallon tank. They're paying, $80, $60 for a fill-up. I'm paying $3 for a fill-up. $3 for 300 miles. The range on my car is 300 miles. Now, there's a Tesla, there's a supercharger station. If I was going to take a road trip to Atlanta or something, you go up the Turnpike or I-95, whatever route you use to get to, South Carolina, Georgia, wherever if you want to drive, or anywhere, pretty much. There's a Tesla charger station, every 50 miles, so everywhere. There's 20,000 of them he built in North America. 20,000 charging thingies. Fills up the car in about, so you take a stop, and they're all, they're located right near major roads, usually associated with some kind of a coffee shop somewhere nearby, right, next door to it, and we have one in the parking garage. I would call it the Neiman Marcus parking garage on the second level. There's 12 supercharger things all lined up. And there's always 2, 3, 4 of those available out of 12. Except maybe lunch hour is probably the highest occupancy level of those supercharger. But if they're, they keep, Elon Musk built this huge network of these chargers because he knew people bought his cars, other than filling up your own car in your own garage, plug it in. What do you want to do if you want to drive 300 miles away? You can't run your battery to zero. Number one, it's not good for the battery. And number two, who goes somewhere and arrives with fumes in the gas tank when you pull in the next where you park the car? No. You never want to go below 5 or 10% gasoline, electric, whatever. So, you need to have, in the United States, there are 150,000 gas stations. 150,000. There are 20 or 30, well, Tesla has 20,000, and ChargePoint and several other private companies, they have 30 or 40,000 chargers. So between the two, you have 60,000 charging situations. So you got half the number of charging situations with electric as compared to gasoline. But, so what? You don't need a charging thing every mile. As long as they're every, 20 miles separated, but they're actually more dense than that. On your iPhone, you can push a button, or the panel you have in the car, the navigation, and there's a button in the navigation menu, and it looks like a lightning bolt. You touch that, and every charging opportunity on a map shows up on a map. And you can expand, you can reverse pinch, all the little dinghies, and you can see exactly where all the charging places are. I don't know if I can do it with the app that's on my iPad. No, let's see. Let's just do location. Yeah, see, here's where the car is right now. I can hit charging. See all those things just lit up? It shows, depending on where you are. There's 6 available there, there's 2 available there, there's 3 available there, there's 6 over here. And these are just, and of course you can have it light up other charts. See, there's there's Maryland's working location, and there's the Neiman Marcus parking garage. Of the 12, and you can touch it. There you go. 8 of 12 stalls are currently available. 250 kilowatt per charging station. And it'll cost you 46 cents a kilowatt. And right now, you see, 10 a.m. This is where the most, you can pick and choose. You want to get there at 6 in the morning. That's when the most are available. And right now they're charging. And if you go out of your car when your car is full up, they're going to charge you $1 a minute. You can see that penalty, idle fee, because you're taking a charging spot. For every additional minute a car remains connected to the supercharger after it is finished charging, it will incur an idle fee. If the car is moved within 5 minutes, they waive the fee. But if you go 6 minutes, then it's going to $6 more, $7 more, $8 more. So you can go get your coffee and donut, but you should come back to your car, because when it's full, you got to get out of that stall, because Maryland may need a charge. Anyway, so you just push the charge button, and here's them all listed. In Delray, there's 13 available, 3 available, 14 available. Inside the red teardrop is even Boynton Beach, the 13 available. So these are miles away. And where Maryland's car is right now, 4/10 of a mile away, half a mile away, walking distance. Of course, you need your car to charge. But 4/10 of a mile is, 2,000 feet away. She's got it's on the second level of a 3-level parking garage. So when you plug in, you're shaded. It's not like you're standing in the sun. Whoops. Because you're, there it is. It's right in that corner of the Neiman Marcus. Neiman Marcus's, that portion of the mall. Or mall in Boca Raton. Anyway, so that's my story. All right. I think we're done for the day. Marilyn says, you got to start it. Pick a time. Do it every day at the same time. So people then can, that want to follow you, they know they can count on you coming on the air at 9 o'clock. This is a Simulcast, by the way. As you can see up top, welcome to Jim Wilson's live Simulcast. Simultaneously broadcasting live on 3 social networks: Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live, W Live. Weekdays, we broadcast from our studios in downtown Boca Raton, Florida. We talk about whatever the interesting topics of the day are. And, maybe we almost touched on some political things. We mentioned the Trump name 5 or 6 times, but we really weren't talking about presidential preferences. Here, this guy, let's get this off. Shift. This guy won a golf tournament. Here we go. Malnati. Okay. He won a golf. Peter Malnati. He won $1.5 million by winning the Valspar Championship. Amazing. Nice young family. Yeah, he's 38 or I forget his name. But here's the prize winnings breakdown. See, Peter Malnati is the top. He win. So if you lost by a stroke, in this case it was -12 and -10 and -9. But just think about it. The -9 guy and the -10 guy, that's 1 stroke difference. Look at the difference in the prize money. $900,000 as opposed to $500,000. So it's basically a $400,000 putt you missed. Can you imagine? Holy crap. Or if you sunk a putt as opposed to not sinking the putt, you earned an extra $400K. Here are these guys here, Borisander Shuffley, who is the guy I like. I've been following it. You get to know some people, over the TV, of course. Sander, he was tied for -5. He was tied for 5th, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4. So he was tied for 5th place, and he made roughly $300,000. Well, they all made $300,000. They take 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and there were 1, 2, 3. There were 4 of them. So you take the 5th place winnings, the 6th place winnings, the 7th place winnings, and the 8th place winnings. You add it all together and divide by 4, and you get $298,725. That's how they do that, by the way. So here, these two, Christian and H.D. Lee, were tied for 9th place. So you take 9th place and 10th place, add the prize money, because each position has a prize money awarded to it. Add it together and divide by 2, $237,000. See, so 10th place is taken because you got 2 tied for 9th place. So that's 9th place and 10th place as a tie. So 11th place was all by himself, $212,000. And 13th place, all these people tied for 12th, is 166, 212, 237, and then 298, and it goes to 495, 915,000, and then $1.5 million. So that was the Valspar, the paint. So on the tea boxes, they had big red cans of Valspar paint. That's cute. So I watched, the last, the last half of the day on Sunday afternoon, early evening. Here's the Callaway, Titleist, Wilson golf balls, TaylorMade golf balls. I used to play TaylorMade, actually. So here's a little story about, the golf ball, the Callaway ball. They cut it in half. What's inside of it? Well, you get the outer skin, then you got the inner skin, and another inner layer, and then it's filled with, some kind of poly. Does it say what it's actually inside? Didn't cover the entire story, but it's some kind of petroleum product, plastic material, polyethylene material, whether it's blue inside or whatever. TaylorMade, the inside is blue. Urethane covered ball. $55 a dozen. Holy mackerel. Phew. God, you divide that 12 into that. It's $5 a ball. You don't want to lose that. 5 times 12 is 60. So it's $4.50 a ball. Wow. Holy mackerel. You don't want to lose. When I say old golfers never die, they just lose their balls. Golf balls, that is. Okay. Woo. So, you want this TaylorMade ball? It's designed for golfers who want distant off the tee and with long irons, plus greenside spin for a firmer feel. Then you got the ball inside, looks like that. No one really knows what the insides are except for people that are watching this broadcast. Look at that. $30 a dozen. This is a Titleist velocity ball. 350. So you can see the front of the ball, the back of the ball, the dimples. You can see the dimples. Well, how many dimples are there? Well, there's 350 dimple cathedral pattern on the outside. It's not changed. Its formulation of the NAS Plus cover material was adjusted to make it faster. The dimple pattern is designed to increase height and carry distance, which is coupled with the ball spin and yada, yada, yada. These are the batteries that are in, I believe that's in our Tesla hardware package 4, I think. Although I'm searching stories about that. Tesla doesn't tell you. They had a battery show a couple years ago, and Tesla's Model Y in 2024, which is, we're halfway through 2024. These batteries, 5 times more energy, 16% more range, and 6x more power per pound, or something, not necessarily per cell. The cell is 80 millimeters high and 46 millimeters in diameter. So they call this cell the 4680. That's how they nicknamed the batteries. You see Tesla 4680? It actually corresponds to the diameter and the height of the battery cell. Now, since Panasonic and several other companies that have been pumping out cells, because it's a roll. It's a roll of anode and a cathode and electrolyte in between, and insulating material, and it's these high-speed rolls. That the way they're fabricated. So this cell, they run it up so it has a bigger diameter, and the way in which the energy comes and goes from the battery has tabs. No, the entire roll is a tab, and all those tabs are folded over and squeezed to create, the one of the poles, and the other pole is the whole outside canister. So there you can see 20% increase in range could mean that today you have 330 mile range battery. They'll bring it up to around 400 miles. You really need a 400 mile battery. We don't have a 400 mile battery yet. I got a 300 mile battery. And if you follow the rules, you're not allowed to use the top 10% every day, and you don't go below the bottom 10% every day. So let's just make that 12%. That's 25%. 12.5% plus 12.5% is 25. Well, what's 25% of 400? 100. So a 400 mile battery, you really only get 300 miles of usable range, because you don't really go, you're not supposed to go below 10. You can go 5, but if you go all the way out, you could really kill hurt the battery, or even kill it. Sometimes if you go to zero, really zero, the battery will not take a charge anymore. So the battery is, that's a real problem. So then you need a new battery. Well, that's a $15,000 item in a car, like a Model Y. So don't go below 10. And every day they don't want you charging over, like the top 15% of the battery. They don't want you charging over there. So you charge up to 85%, and that's enough. And you don't go below the bottom 10, that's 25%. And then I think you slice it. And 25. So for a 300 mile battery, you really only get 225 miles of of usable range, which is fine, for driving around. It just means you have to plug in, 2 or 3 times a week, with the little driving that we do. You wonder where I got a picture of the bed here. It's because it came in 1,000 pieces. And my son said, will you help me put this bed together? So it took all day, or from noon till 5 to get all the pieces put together. So it was about a 5-hour job for 2 people. And some of the pieces are big, heavy wood material, and so I helped him put it together. I brought my electric screwy things, and he had an electric screwy thing. So we weren't turning screws, where you wear out your hands. Here's our golfer walking up the golf course at -12 on hole 17. So now he just has to he hit a good drive, and he's on the green. And you can see he's carrying his putter as he walks with the person he was playing with. Was, I think, at -8, and Malnati was at -12. Cameron Young was at -10. Shopley was, all these people. So Hughes, maybe he was playing with Hughes. I don't know what Hughes looks like, but since they're the only 2 that don't, you see here, they're only 2 with no final scores yet. Hughes is at -8, and Malnati is at -12. So, they're playing against everybody else, not necessarily against each other. So they're walking up to the green, and unless this guy has a complete heart attack, he's going to win the match if he just gets a par. And I think he was in par. He was within sinking a putt with. And I think his putt. He putted it, and he got within, like 3 inches. So his second putt, he parred the hole, and he came in at -12. So that putt, was not like a 6-footer, but even if he missed it, he was up by 2, so he could miss a putt, and then he'd be at -11. He's still a winner, so he could 3-putt that green and still win. But his putt came within 4 inches of the cup, so it was a tap-in victory. A tap-in win is what they call it. So when I was getting ready for this broadcast, it was 73 degrees outside. So, if you look at my producer, give me a full screen on that. Producer Jim. We'll just close that down a little bit. So you see right here, it's 67 degrees in my little studio here. 67.8 degrees to be accurate. There we go. March 25th, 10:31 a.m. 79 degrees outside, which is that temperature, and 67 degrees inside. And we can see it's Monday morning, 10:32 a.m., March 25. Yeah, it's 30 days, half September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, but February, which had 29 days this year, because it's a leap year. Every 4 years, they add a day to keep the time in sync with the actual geological time, with the time it takes for the Earth to go all the way around the sun, and the revolutions that the Earth makes around its own axis. See, the Earth revolves around the sun, and but the Earth rotates around its own axis. Revolutions. How many revolutions does the Earth have? 1 revolution per day. but the Earth revolves around the sun. Those are the two terms. There are two test questions, everybody. I remember a teacher of something is saying that, which one rotates and which one revolves. Well, they're revolutions on the Earth. This is how I remembered it. So therefore, it's revolutions around its own axis. But the Earth revolves around the sun. The Earth doesn't revolve around the sun. The Earth revolves around its own axis. Revolutions. There's the Tesla battery factory. This is a Tesla factory. Just factory. It's huge. I mean, you can see. I can zoom way in. And you can see itty bitty cars and trucks. This thing is I believe it's 5 pentagons in one huge building. The building is so big, it has its own zip code to receive mail. It's a pretty big building. It's a little different view of the same building. So here's my car when it was charging. So it shows at the point. You can see the battery is green and black. And at 148 miles worth of range in the green zone there. And then when you plug it in, so there's the charge point I had put in there. I think it was, set at 90%. Get it up to 90%. So I would not charge it to 100%. You can charge it to 100% if you know you're going on a trip, and it's an occasional charge up. You can fill it up all the way. But for daily fill-ups, they recommend keeping it, under 90%. So to me, that's 90. So that's why that picture is there. And according to an application that I have, my full battery capacity is 82,000 watt hour battery. 82 kilowatt battery. So you fill that sucker to the top, it's 82 kilowatts worth of energy. And my range, right here, you can see the range, 303 miles. It's better than 18% of everyone else that has electric. I'm not too sure who everyone else is in the pool. But anyway, because of the curve, I'm at 303 miles. That's my range. The graph is called your maximum range versus others. Okay, so other cars similar cars like mine, we're 303 miles. That's the important part of that graph. And here's a New York Times story. It came out of the New York Times, I think. New York Times says Trump leads Biden among Hispanic voters, which is an important voting bloc for the Democrats. But among Hispanic voters, Trump leads Biden. That's big news. Fox News is reporting based on what the New York Times said. And this was Mornings with Maria, coming on 6 to 9 a.m. on every weekday. You can see that in the lower left corner. Right, lower, the other left, the lower right corner of this graphic. All right. Say goodnight, Jen. So we're going to go. We're an hour and 35 minutes on this simultaneously broadcast. And we'll see you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I'm going to give you some live feed of this Epidemic Sound instrumental, a royalty-free instrumental, which is like a 3-hour feed, which is like the background sound of this broadcast. And we'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock sharp.